So we are multiplying and dividing rational numbers today. So when you are multiplying rational numbers, you really need them in terms of a fraction. So if you would be given a mixed number, you'd have to make it a fraction. As you are multiplying, the first thing that you should look for to make things easier, to see if you can cancel anything out. If you can, you should definitely cancel anything from the top with anything from the bottom. Then you multiply straight across, and then be aware of the signs, because the sign rules apply. If you're multiplying same signs, it's positive, and different signs, it's negative. Okay, so let's look at 2/3 times 4/5. Look for common factors on the top to the bottom. Do you see any? Any common factors top to bottom? I don't see any. So that just means that you would multiply that straight across and you would get 8 over 15. Now, I will tell you, if you can't cancel anything out, when you get done, there shouldn't be anything to reduce out of it. It's when you don't cancel out correctly that you need to reduce at the end. But you should always double check. And 8/15 is reduced as low as it'll go. So your final answer there would be 8/15. Now, let's look at some more where you do have to reduce. So 2/5 times 5/8. Tiana, what would I do here?
Take those 5s and put them in
The 5s would cancel and become 1s.
2 to 1, and then 8.
The 2 would become a 1 and the 8 would become a 4. And then there's nothing else to cancel, so if you multiply straight across, what would you get? 1/4. See how nice it is when you cancel everything out? It makes it a really simple multiplication at the end. Okay, what about 2/6 times 3/5? Trayton, anything to cancel?
3 is 1 and 6 is 2.
3 is 1, 6 is 2. Okay, now here's the tricky part. Does anything else cancel from top to bottom? Is there any common factors on the top that are on the bottom? It doesn't have to be diagonal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one that's not very common. What are you looking at? What do you see?
I don't know.
The 3 becomes a 1 and the 6 becomes a 2. Well, look what's right above the 2.
You just said the answer.
Huh?
You just said look what's above the.
Do you see how there's a 2 over a 2 right here now? You can cancel those. It doesn't have to be diagonally. It can be one right above the other. So what would those 2's cancel out to?
1.
Yeah. So that 2 becomes a 1, that 2 becomes a 1. So you can cancel more than once. And you can cancel top to bottom, anything from the top with anything to bottom, even if it's right above each other. So now when you go multiply straight across, what do you get? 1/5. Okay, good. That was a tricky one. How about negative 1/4 times 2/7? Who wants to try this one? Stephen, I want to ask you a question. Since it's negative 1/4 times positive 2/7, can you tell me what the answer is going to be, positive or negative?
I'm assuming it would be negative.
Yes. And I would recommend today, as you're doing these, you might want to look through them and figure out what the sign is so that you don't forget about it at the end. So since it's a negative times a positive, it is a negative answer. Okay, Stephen, does anything cancel?
Yes.
Okay, what?
2 and 4.
Okay. The 2 becomes a,
1,
and the 4 becomes a,
2.
and multiply straight across.
Negative 1 over 14.
Negative 1 over 14. Negative 1 over 14. Okay, questions on any of those? So just be aware that you can cancel anything from the top with anything from the bottom. Watch your signs. Okay, we're going to scroll down here a little bit and see some that have, if I can get it to go. There we go. All right, a couple of mixed numbers here. 1.5 times 3 2/3. Let's look at that. 1.5 times 3 2/3. Anybody want to try this one? No. Okay, Shane?
1.5 multiply by 2 and 1 and get 3 over. You get 2 and then you add 1 and get 3 over 2.
So 3 over 2 times,
And 3 times 3 is 9 and 2 is
11
11 over 3.
over 3. So you multiply it out, you get it to be in the fractional form, and now does anything cancel, Shane? Yep, the 3's both become what? 1's. Anything else cancel? Nope, so multiply straight across. 11 over 2, which you cannot leave it like that. So you have to take 11 divided by 2. And Shane, how many full times does 2 go into 11? 5. So that becomes 5 for the whole part. And what's 5 times 2? So what's left over? 1. So 5 and 1/2. Good. 5 and 1/2. Okay. We're going to kind of switch over here to the right a little bit, just so we do these. This one, which we can barely read, I'm going to write it a little bit better. It is 6 over 11 times 2 over 15. And the reason why I've got this one here is because I wanted to make sure you're aware that you can cancel out common factors. It doesn't have to be the actual number itself. Does anybody see any common factor that you could take out of that, Braxton?
6 and 15.
Yeah, what can you divide out of those two?
3.
Yeah, so you would cancel the 6 and the 15, and what would they become, Braxton?
6 would become 2 and the 15 would become 5.
Correct. And nothing else cancels, so multiply straight across, and what would you get?
4
Yeah, 4 55ths, 4 over 55. Good. All right, and then the next one I want to show you is 4a over 5 times 3b over 8a. Now you got to be really careful, but sometimes the letters are actually easier, because if you look at that, you don't know what a is, but it's the same thing. And it's being multiplied, and you have one on the top and one on the bottom, so you can just mark those out. If there's one on the top and one on the bottom, just mark them out. While I also see 4 and 8 can cancel out. 4 becomes a 1 and 8 becomes a 2. I can't cancel anything else out, so when I multiply straight across, I get 3b on the top and 10 on the bottom. Okay, I want to make sure we look at this other one here too. It says 5m over 9n times n over 10m squared. Okay, just want to clarify these for you so that you know. I'm going to cancel the 5 and 10 first and become a 1 and a 2. But look at the m's. There's one m on top, but there's 2 m's on the bottom. So I can only cancel out 1. So the one on top is gone completely, and the one on the bottom, the m squared isn't there. It's really just m to the first. Does anybody see anything else that can cancel? The n and n cancel completely. And then when I go to try to clean it up, everything's gone on the top, but there's always got to be at least a 1. And then across the bottom, 9 times 2 is 18, and then there's that m left, 1 over 18m. Okay, any questions about that? I just want to make sure you got that part. Okay. Evaluate means to solve or find the value, and it says 2/3 times x times y. So you're going to substitute in there. So you're going to have 2/3 times negative 3/4 times negative 1/2. Okay, I'm going to go through and figure out my sign first. And then I'll show you what you should do with this when you're multiplying 3 of them. It's kind of cool. It kind of goes quick, actually. If I would just multiply these two, it's a positive times a negative. What's a positive times a negative? Negative. Okay, so those two would result in a negative. And then if I took that times this, it'd be negative times a negative. What's my answer going to be? Positive. Okay, so we know the answer is positive at the end. Here's what you should do. You can cancel anything from the top with anything from the bottom in any spot. Meaning this. I can cancel that 2 with that 2. They both became 1s just now. I can cancel that 3 with that 3. They both just became 1s. That's all that cancels out. Now it's a really simple problem, isn't it? Multiply all the way across the top, you get a 1, and all the way across the bottom, 4. Positive 1/4. Okay, questions about that?